All
Yeah,
right.
of course, of course.
Yeah. So, first of all, you just did a big run, right? 200 mile or something crazy.
Yeah, it was it's called Hood to Coast. It's from Mount Hood to the Oregon coast, but it's a relay. So I didn't run a full 2 miles. It's a group event. It's like eight,
Oh my
you
God.
go with like eight to 12 people and do it. So but yeah, I was doing that. That was last weekend, or sorry, yeah, last weekend before this most
Yeah.
recent.
Well,
Um,
super
but yeah,
inspired.
I've been on the road for about a month now.
Oh my
Just getting
gosh.
back. Yeah,
That's
yeah,
nice. Well,
it's
anyway,
good.
we'll get cranking because we know your time is tight. Um, so the group on here with us and those who are watching live on three different networks, most of them are all transitioning veterans. They're just getting ready for their next chapter, and we love to bring on guys like you who can just share a little bit about your experiences and hear advice and mentorship that you might have for all these amazing men and women as they get ready to take off the uniform and head out into corporate America. So anyway, get ready everyone to be inspired because our next guest, he is a true American original, U.S. Army Green Beret vet who served with the First Special Forces Group, deployed to Iraq and Afghanistan, and he is proof that grit and determination can take you anywhere. After his service at age 29 and with no prior football experience, he walked on to the Texas Longhorns football team, became the team's dependable long snapper, appeared in 38 straight games, earning numerous honors. And then just 4 years later, he made history as the oldest rookie in the NFL when he signed with the Seattle Seahawks. But Nate didn't stop there. He went on to become an actor, a filmmaker, a TV host, while dedicating himself to transforming lives through advocacy and storytelling. In 2015, he co-founded the nonprofit Merging Vets and Players with Jay Glazer, brings together vets and former pro athletes through peer supports, meetups grounded in fitness and camaraderie. His journey from the battlefield to the boardroom, from athlete to advocate, it's a powerful testament to a purpose driven adaptability, creative courage, and service above self. So, Nate, thank you again, man, for being with us today. We really appreciate you.
Yeah, of course, brother. Of course. Yeah, for started in first group, but most of my time was actually in the 10th Special Forces group and then eventually in 19th group in the Guard. So I never actually deployed with first group,
Oh, okay. My fault.
but that is
Right.
yeah,
But
part of
thank
it.
you for
Part of it.
correcting that.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah, all good, all good. I just want to make sure, man.
I I came
After
across
recent
you.
events with recent other Green Berets, man, there's you got to be real you got to make sure everything's accurate.
Absolutely, absolutely. I came across you when I did a class with Jason Van Camp, and he introduced your story to all of his students and stuff. So I've been aware of all your amazing accomplishments over the years. So, anyway, I wanted to have David Noriega. He's just got out last week, and I wanted to have him MC the session because he is a big fan as well. So, David, you want to take it away, and we'll ask Nate some questions, then we could open it up to the group here.
Absolutely. No, that's easy. It's easy to do someone like you, Nate, just because of how interesting like your history is or like your experience, especially just knowing you on LinkedIn. I was excited when Jordy said, "Hey, can you MC this one?" I said, "Yeah." Do you mind if we record the session so in case anybody misses later, we can also
Yeah,
they
no, I don't mind.
cool, Mary, if you could just go ahead and record the session, that'd be great. But yeah, so like talk to me through like transition, meaning, hey, I'm gonna get out like intentionally. Was that intentional or was that just like an opportunity arose and you're like, hey, I want to go back to school. I think it's more important. What was that decision making like? Because I think everybody's like on a different level, whether they did 20 years or 6 years, and they're kind of trying to resonate something to
Yeah.
go, hey, what is going to motivate me?
Yeah. I mean, I was definitely in the 6 year boat. I it never planned on it being a career. I mean, initially I thought, I'll do five, I'll get out and go do something else. And it was, I mean, it was a long time ago. It was 2004. So obviously we were sort of in the throes of GWAT and we had just sent a bunch of troops to Afghanistan and the surge in Iraq. Um, and so and I was in my early 20s when I joined and didn't really have a direction and sense of purpose. All my friends were like graduating college at that time and kind of figuring out their lives. And I just didn't really know, what to do. So the idea was like, I want to be a part of this. I want to try and be in the special forces. But I'm just going to do a few. And I didn't really have a what's next plan at the time. But I did have this like thought, I think in the back of my head that I would eventually go to college.
Oh,
It definitely didn't want to out of high school, but that was something that hung around with me and then of course you've got GI Bill. Like there is an opportunity there that feels maybe a little wasted if you don't take advantage of it, at least for me. And or at least, if you're not yourself passing it on to somebody, like it is a good program. Um, so yeah, I was about to turn 29. It was I was in Iraq, last time in Iraq, and last few months actually. Um, and I just I was talking to one of my buddies who unfortunately passed away a few years after that. Um, but he sort of was not only like motivated me, but encouraged me and kind of believed in me more than I did um, that if I got out and went to school, that, he knew I had this crazy childhood dream um, or childish dream of playing football because I'd never done it. And it was like a big regret of mine because I loved the sport so much. I just had a bunch of things happen when I was younger. Ended up going to a high school, didn't have a team, but before that, even like I was a late bloomer. I was small, very small kid, and played other sports and was decent, but uh, just didn't work out with football, and that always kind of stuck with me. So yeah, I just kind of made that decision. I started training for it in Iraq. I was running routes in the sand and trying to learn how to backpedal and YouTubing and Googling football drills and all that stuff. And then yeah, came back to the States, found out that, and I wanted to go to UT because I loved Austin and it's a great school and just the tradition and everything around football and all that. It was important to me. It wasn't as important that I played. It was more important that I was part of a good team. And I think that comes from the military side, wanting to be on a effective team, wanting to be on a competitive team, whatever. Um, and and so I chose Texas, and I wasn't going to get in with my high school grades, so I took some online classes the last few months I was in the military. So I was able to transfer in some of my some of my credits from the 18 extra or from the Special Forces qualification course. Um, from after selection, basically all those phases, like I qualified, I tested out a language and qualified in a bunch of avenues. So I had credits that transferred there. And then I took, 5 or 6 online classes and just worked hard, made sure I got A's in those. And they were relatively easy classes. But then now I could transfer in as a sophomore with a good GPA. And so that's what I did. And yeah, it was like I wasn't really nervous about it because I was excited about what I was doing, and what I was pursuing, I guess, and trying to play football. I was just all focused on that. So I wasn't even thinking about the fact that I'd be 10 years older than the other freshmen and like it would be a big shift. So that definitely was an awakening once I did get there. Just this realization that, not only does the world look a little different from where I sit, but everybody looks at me different than a typical college student. They definitely, I tried to blend in. I wasn't dressed like I am now. But I just was obviously older and I don't know, experience just
Yeah, I think you had the life experience. Yeah.
wears on your face. Yeah. And so yeah, but after a few weeks, honestly, not even that long, I felt kind of comfortable and at home. And I think one thing about me anyway is I embrace new transitions and new beginnings and I like meeting and being exposed to environments that I'm not familiar with. I enjoy that. So it wasn't bad in that regard. I'm not really a big routine guy, even though I was in the military. I don't like the same thing every day. I want different. So that certainly helped, being in that locker room was nice too. I didn't realize that at the time, but later I would kind of come to grips with the fact that these college kids on a football team really helped me transition because I had a new team and a new uniform to identify with and all that stuff. So
Yeah. I think a lot of us can relate to that. Like as far as like the decision to go, I'm gonna get out early. I don't know quite what you want to do, but the option and the
feel that.
flexibility of the GI Bill to like use that time to go, you know what? Let me just go back to school. Maybe I have a little bit more time to think about it. I get another
Yeah.
perspective from college students that are aspiring the same way, right? You kind of have a pathway of education of like, all right, I want to get a degree in this, but then a lot of them change. It's cool that you use that, like for you to say that to go, hey, like I knew I wasn't going to be a lifer, right? I wanted to do something else, but you wanted to still be part of, the military at some sort and then use your benefits. I think a lot of that like messaging is not given a lot because like I did 20 years and I'm still going like I need to use my GI Bill, right? Like
Yeah,
it's a benefit for us and we should take advantage of it. But to everybody out
absolutely.
there, like that's an option, guys. It's a flexibility thing. And Nate did it, right? Now UT. I will tell you, like you don't have to sell me on UT. I'm from San Antonio, so I'm a big Longhorn fan, and there's a couple people in the chat as well.
RIP last week, but all right.
I know it was pretty sad, but we'll move on. We'll get to. But so Nate, like you got into UT. You're following your dreams as being, playing in sports. Um, can you talk us through like? Did you feel like there was a disadvantage, or you felt like, hey, I was confident, doesn't matter my age. It was just like, I know what I'm worth, and I know what I can do with my hard work and dedication. Because there's like that scale of like talent. People just have talent, don't have to work hard. But then there's other people that like, I don't have the natural talent, but that hard work, dedication, that grit, that we learn in the military kind of push you through. Was that the same case for you, or what did you use to kind of like gain that advantage?
Yeah, I mean, I definitely have um a good amount of insecurity in my abilities, and I think that's a gift because I work hard. I don't let those like deter me from trying things. I think they motivate me more than anything. So like I've always kind of felt a little bit less than, I think, growing up in multiple ways. And it definitely affected my performance as a kid in like many ways, not just sports. But I've kind of learned to not only get over that, but sort of use it because I do work very hard. I do probably too hard at some point. Need to back off and make sure I balance life a little bit better. But I'll when I go after something, I go all in, and I don't shy away from the work that's necessary, like sacrifices have to be made, but also I understand that things are a process and I'm going to suck at this thing, whatever it is, for a while. I just have to keep doing it. I have to keep putting the reps in and kind of working out the kinks and learning that new skill. And that can be physical, mental, whatever. Uh, but once I kind of commit to it, I'm pretty much I'm a pretty dedicated person in that way. Unless for some reason along the way I am no longer inspired by this thing, or it's not serving, you know, me or my family or community or whatever in a positive way, then I'm okay to step away from it. I'm not one of those people either that's like, oh, I said I was going to do this. I have to just keep doing it, even though it's not good for me. Um, but that's very rare. I think most of the time I'm pretty selective. Once I decide on something, it's like I've done my research, I've test drove every car, basically. I'm like that kind of person before I make a commitment. But when I make a commitment, it's like I'm all in on that thing. Um, so so yeah, it was like that definitely propelled me. I'm not as I don't have a ton of natural talent. Um, maybe I do uh in like not not giving a damn in some ways. I think that is a talent, not worrying about what other people think too much, not being afraid to fail, and not wanting to live or die with regrets. I think those are the things that uh, those are the gifts that I have, And so I gotta leverage those as best I can and kind of let those lead me. So yeah, so that was just one of those things. It was like breaking that all down. Look, if I don't make the team, or if I make the team and I don't play or I get cut, like who cares at the end of the day? I mean, it's certainly gonna like hurt a little bit, but it would be way worse for me to go on forever and just wonder, or think, man, I wish I would have tried to do that thing. Gosh, why didn't I try to do that? But, I was, because I was afraid. That's so dumb. Because yeah, we're all gonna die anyway. So
I like the way you said, like everything's a process. And like you get like transitions a process, finding a new
yeah,
job is a process. And sometimes you just got to accept it. Some of us don't want to accept it. You're like, well, I just want it now, right? I want this thing to
yeah.
happen in 3 months, 4 months. I've been
And I'm
applying a
super
lot of,
impatient too, so I can relate to that. I am a very impatient person. So
when
yeah,
you said
it's not that that's not there.
yeah. No, when you said process, I was thinking like heard that so many times in my career, like, hey, this is the process. And I'm like, oh, I totally disagree with this process, but what do I got to do? Right. And
I know.
as veterans and military people, you kind of know that you learn patience in the military as much people think, well, I don't have a lot of patience. It's because the military forces us for that patience.
Yeah.
You could probably agree to me at jump school. It's cool when you say I'm jumping out of airplanes, but the process to jump out of airplanes in the military or in the army is not as fun or easy to do when you're going through it, right? And it's painful sometimes just watching it. But you're
Yeah.
in this process. How did you land on like you show up to the football team? Did you ask them like, "Hey, where's tryouts? What do I got to do? Where do I work out? Who do I got to talk to?" Because that seems like in hindsight, maybe if you got a scholarship, it's easy to go, "Hey, I just show up and everybody's gonna deliver me what do I got to do?"
Yeah.
What was that like? Because you can get accepted, your grades, but then I want to be an athlete as well, and I'm going to be a walk-on. So there's a little bit of like, how do I get there? Because there might be people here that thinking that same thing. Like I could still do a sport. I played something in high school. Maybe I'm worth something still to the.
Yeah. I mean, to be honest, like there's because I get that asked a lot. I've had a lot of people over the years. This was, I walked on 15 years ago now. Um, and I get a lot of people that reach out and they're interested in doing something similar. And they're like, how do I do that? I'm like, I don't know. You just do it. You just go. You just go show up at the football office or whatever, and you go meet people and you ask if you can, you know, uh, take a few minutes of somebody's time and or go get coffee with them or something. Because I'm not just talking about football here. I'm talking about anything you want to do. But like there's especially in this digital age and everything's so automated now, and like it's just it's unfortunate, but that's just the way we are. People are still impressed. Most people, not all people, but a good amount of people are impressed if you write a heartfelt, genuine letter, maybe even handwritten, or you show up. Even better is if you can show up to a place, and they're like, oh, well, it doesn't work like that. You got to blah, blah, blah. You're like, cool. Well, I'm in town this whole week. I would love to find a way to meet with this person. And don't do it in a rude way, of course. That sounded kind of rude the way I just said that. But like, always honor and respect everybody you talk to, even the janitor, the receptionist, the person in the mailroom, because that might be you starting out too. But like, tell people who you are and why you're passionate about this thing or interested in this thing, why you want to do it, why you want to have this meeting, why you want to learn more about this business or this company or this team or whatever it is. And um and people respond to that. Not every person, but a lot of people do. And I think we put on a pedestal often like these individuals who are in high places who make those decisions and have built some incredible things, when at the end of the day, like, they're just like us. They also have some insecurity and frailty, and they fail a bunch, and they had moments where they wanted to quit and they thought about going a completely different direction with their life, but then something happened or someone stepped in and all of a sudden they're back on track over here. And like that's everybody's journey. Like that's just the way that life is. And So when I got done, and I wasn't even done, I still had time in the military. That's the other thing, like start early, and this is great that you guys are doing this, for those that are transitioning. And if you've already gotten out, it's not too late. Don't worry about that either. I'm just saying, like, the sooner you get on these things, the better, and start that process. I continue to use that word, but like, it really is. Things just take time. If it's something worth doing, it's going to take time. It's going to be hard. That's just the way it is. I don't know why, but that's the way it is. Probably because a lot of people want to do it, because it's cool. So yeah, I just went down. I remember I was probably 6 months, maybe even 8 months out from ETSing, and I'd just gotten back from Iraq, and I know I still had a trip. We went to Israel for like 6 weeks and did some security stuff over there. Um, and yeah, so I had a window, and I took some leave, and just went down. I mean, I might not even have taken leave, might have just been a 4 day. So I just remember I left on Friday morning. There was practice that afternoon. I'd done my research, figured out when they do practice and when the team, whatever, and where the football offices are and all that stuff. And I flew in like Friday morning. Um, I definitely cheesed it up. I had my dress blues on, or dress greens back then,
Yeah, yeah.
and I went straight from the airport to the admissions office first, because I was like, I want to go meet people in the admissions office. I want to make sure I'm doing all the right things. I'm going to ask them in person. I'm not just going to do all these online submission stuff. I'm trying, I want to get into the school. I want to come here in the spring. Here is, you know, this is my background. Um, what do I need to be doing? Like whatever. And I think I waited there for an hour to get a meeting, maybe two, because they weren't expecting me. I didn't have an appointment, but somebody spent 15, 20 minutes, whatever. And they're like, okay, so that's great. You're doing this. Keep doing that. You should think about that. You should think about this. Like, oh, you're a veteran. Oh, you have some transfer credits. Okay, here we go. So now they're very aware of me. And, you know, if there's a situation where somebody has to make a subjective decision about me, hopefully I've made a good impression, and they're just like, you know what, he doesn't quite have what's necessary here, but man, that guy showed up and he cares, and I know he's going to work his butt off. So like, let's let him in. I don't know. I have no idea what actually happened there. I'm just saying it probably didn't hurt that I showed up there. So then I walked across campus because I knew they had football practice or walkthrough or whatever that day. I had no idea where, but I walked over to the stadium. I'm peeking through stuff. There's nobody in the stadium. I walk around, there's a football, like the administration office, and, I don't even remember. I talked to somebody, and it turns out the practice fields are not that far. It was like a quarter mile away. So I just walked over there. I'm sweating bullets, by the way, because this is like this time of the year. It was before the first game. And, I see them out there on the field practicing. There's a little crack in the gate, and I just walked in, and just kind of stood there. There wasn't like a police officer or security that was like ushering me out, and I just was like watching from a distance. And then somebody walks over, not a coach or anything, but somebody from the staff, and just kind of, asks what I was doing. And I said, oh, I introduced myself, and I said, hey, my name's Nate. I'm still in the military. But I'm just in town for the weekend, and I want to come to school here, and I want to try out for the football team when I get here. And I don't know. I just figured I'd peek in over here, but if I need to go, and they're like, no, 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 you're fine. You're fine. And then they introduced me to somebody else, and I just kind of talked to them, and get introduced to the strength coach. And so this is all perfect, because then they're like aware, and I'm like, what do I got to do? How does this work? Like tryouts and all that. And, they basically just said, like, this is when it is. And when you get into school, when you get admitted, if you get admitted, then we'll have more details. And you can just call this number, reach out to this, secretary at this office, and whatever. And anyway, that was it. And so then I just did all the things they asked me to do and made sure I was on top of it. And prepared physically. I was like training the whole time too, and trying to put some weight on, and trying to learn how to play football. I didn't tell anybody. I didn't say, hey, my name's Nate. I've never played football, but I'd like to play for Texas. You do that? All right. They're
Yeah,
like,
that's a
oh,
different like feel if you say those words as opposed
totally.
to
You
like,
just
hey, here's my
gotta
plan.
keep your cards relatively close, but it's more about selling them on just who you are. And that doesn't require salesmanship if you're just honest and open and vulnerable, like that's who you are. So I think just being that um
I love
it goes a long way.
Yeah, we here at Seven Eagle, like Jordy was just talking about that, like your elevator pitch, being personable, and to do it in person, like you mentioned, like I'll tell you what, like if someone took their time out of their day to come see me and go, hey, I just wanted to introduce myself, I reached out to you on this or whatever, if I have the availability, or if I'm just that undeniable, like you were, and said, you know what, I'm gonna take a trip down there, doesn't matter because I just want to get my name out there. It almost like it gives them that ability to look at you and go, man, you came all this way. You took personal time out of your day to come out here just to say, hey, this is my plan. This is what I want to do. How do I do it? Right? Like, who's going to say no to that? Right? They might go, well, I don't got time right now because we're practicing, but stick around and I'll talk to you after the practice because I'm willing to help you. I think it's huge, and that's what we promote here at Seven Eagles. It might be uncomfortable. Maybe you don't want to go meet people in person. A lot of people don't now, or they're scared to ask, like at least just a question. But I think an inquisitive person like yourself or anybody that just goes, I'm just interested in this. How do I do it? And ChatGPT can run it through you now, but reality is like to get in front of that person, they have that ability to connect you directly and go, hey, here's what you need to do.
Yeah.
Here's what you got to sign up for, blah, blah, blah. And then here's the next
Yeah.
step. That's huge, right? That's like a handshake done going, hey, all right, I love who you are. I love what you said. Here's your next step. That's it.
Yeah. I mean, I've met other people, veterans, with very similar stories in completely different industries or sectors or whatever that just did that. Like one of my good friends, you know, as corny as it sounds, he liked the show Ballers, and he wanted to be an agent. He wanted to be an entertainment agent. And he not a sports agent, but entertainment agent. I think he also watched what's the other one that the same group did based on Wahlberg's life, Entourage, right? He liked these shows and he's like, that looks like a fun life. I want to do that. Obviously, it's not really like that, but that's what he wanted to do. I mean, some of it's like that. So and I met him out here in LA, but he came out, he was, he'd gotten out of the military. He was actually going to law school at University of Washington, and he flew himself down to he wrote a letter to like he researched and found every major agent at the big agencies who also was a lawyer, and a lot of agents have law degrees. It's common. So he wrote a lot of letters, and nobody responded, not one. So he blasted it all again, and then finally like one person wrote back, hey, if you're ever in LA, stop by the office and we'll grab coffee. And it was a pretty big name, pretty big guy, agent or whatever. So Nick books a flight, flies to LA, shows up at the front desk. And he's like, hey, my name's Nick Witters. I wrote an email to I can't Mike. I don't know who the guy was. I can't remember the guy's name, but and he told me to stop by the office, and they were like, I'm so sorry, he's in London, for some press tour with whatever. And he's like, oh, okay. When does he come back? And they're like, he'll be back next week. He's like, all right. So Nick just stayed for a few days, and it's sucked. I mean, it was probably stressful and probably expensive, and maybe he figured it out, or maybe he crashed on couches. I don't know what he did, but he just stayed and waited. And then when the guy got back, Nick shows up, and the guy's like, man, I'm so sorry. I was out of town. I should have told you your schedule. I had no idea you were just going to come down. Like, that's awesome. I really respect that. And they had a great meeting. And then, Nick, it's really hard to get in at this agency. And Nick got in. He got in the mailroom and had to start in the mailroom like everybody else. And sometimes you're in the mailroom for months before you get to pulled and put on a desk, right? But because he went there and he didn't like expect anything, and he wasn't like, well, I did this and that before, like, I'm a vet or whatever this is, no expectation and entitlement, like I should have to like wait in line like everybody else. He just was like, cool, I'll do it. And he went down to the mailroom. He was there like 2 days, And like word got around within some of the agents that this guy who'd served in the military, because there's like no veterans that worked there, and it's like 4,000 employees. I think there was one other vet. And the word got around. They're like, that's so cool. And this one, the one guy that was, I think this guy went to like Naval Academy. I don't know if he really had served much or whatever, but went to Naval Academy and then rose the ranks at this agency. He was like, no way, there's a veteran in the mailroom. I want to go meet him. He went down and met him, really liked him. It turned out that his assistant was leaving soon was getting promoted or whatever. So he pulled Nick and put him on his desk, and like the rest is history. Nick's like a freaking bazillionaire now. Not really, but like pretty good. And yeah, but it all started just because of that. Like they never would have. It's really hard to get into that world. There's a lot of nepotism. There's a lot of, it's just a tough world. But because he showed up, because he did these things that other people would not do, it was really, really, it looked really, there's a lot of value in that. I'll just say that.
Oh yeah. I mean, I think yeah, it may sound extreme, like the your story and your friend's story, but it's not out the world like impossible, right? Like you can make it happen if it's something you really want. It's like take the chance, right? And it may not be every vet on here that goes, "Oh yeah, I'm gonna do that starting tomorrow," but at least it encourages them to go, "Hey, let me just do something different," right? Everybody's submitting a
Yeah.
resume, great. Everybody's,
Yeah,
watching and
make a
sitting on the butt.
plan.
Yeah,
Have a
yeah.
good plan. Like that is the process. I saw in the chat someone was asking about, like, what do you mean the process? I mean, the process can mean a million different things. And I'm not a big buzzword guy, so I'm sorry I'm being that guy right now because I don't like when everybody today is talking about, trauma and this and that, and everybody's, whatever. I don't like the fancy buzzwords. Um, but the trust the process, it is a phrase or whatever. That doesn't mean sit around and wait. That's not the process. At least my process.
Yeah, I mean,
uh,
we're all like that though. I
that
think
just
we
means
know the
it just
process.
means be patient and keep doing things, keep doing the right things, and keep moving forward, and keep trying to make those connections and preparing yourself and educating yourself and getting ready. Because yeah, even just to go down and make that trip to Texas like I did, or what Nick did, it wasn't an overnight thing. It wasn't like they woke up in the morning and got on a flight. It was like figure out who you need to meet, how this should, what's the best opportunity here. Um, and people are like, well, how do I do that? And I'm like, when people keep asking me that, I kept asking me about football. Well, I don't know. I don't know this person. I'm like, I didn't know anybody. I'm like, you're just not ready to work, because this is just that's the difference. Like I was like so motivated by this thing. I was going to do whatever it took, and I was going to, research and study and train at the same time and prepare. And it sucks. It's not like super fun, but it feels more fun because you have this dream at the end of it that you're going after. And even if it doesn't work out, because I've had a lot of things conversely that didn't go my way, because it was something I was passionate about and a dream I had that was pushing me. Um, that the process, when you look back on it, is often more valuable and rewarding and fulfilling than the achievement, because you have there's nothing like having that feeling of I'm actually chasing this dream. I'm actually going after this thing that seems impossible. This is so cool, because most people will never do that. But that is a very special feeling, and it's very unique, and it's like to me, that's life. That's what makes me feel the most alive. It's not getting to the top of the mountain. It's like when I'm on the side of the mountain and I want to quit, but I don't, and I keep going forward and I get over that really hard part. And then I look back and I see how far I've come, and I'm like, yeah, this is great. And maybe I still have a really far way to go, but like that feeling of just like, that's just the human spirit, as corny as it sounds. I don't know. And that's what it's all about to me.
No, I
Genuinely.
feel like, like keeping one, we used to always say in training when I'm a SEER specialist by trade in the Air Force, and they used to always say just one foot in front of the other. It doesn't
Mm-hmm.
matter what that foot looks like in front of you, just keep doing it. Don't quit on us, don't quit on yourself. Trust me. You can do this, anybody can. If I can, you can. But my thing is like you're in this process, right? You're like this thing, and you're like, you made it to UT, which very few people could go. I made it to UT. I walked onto UT But not only did you do that, you were able to say, you know what? When did you know you were going to the pros? Because now it's one thing to say I went to college, I played high school football, I played college
Yeah.
football, whatever. But then to go, oh, I actually played in the pro league too. So it's like very few people get to do that. Talk us through that because that's part of the
Yeah.
process, right? Like your process.
Well, I knew so my sophomore year. Oh, okay, let me back up a little bit. So freshman year, and by the way, I got to jump in like 10 minutes. Is that okay?
Okay.
It's
Yeah,
about
yeah,
10
no worries.
minutes. So I I the freshman year, I didn't play at all, right? I wasn't on the travel squad. I got to dress for home games as pretty much all the walk-ons get to do, as long as you're in good standing, good with the team and whatever. So you practice every day, you get run over every day. I saw someone reference Rudy in there. If you've ever seen Rudy, like that's basically what happens. You just get beat up at practice, run over with dignity. That's what my defensive back coach used to say. So I was a safety. I didn't have the speed and the skill to get on the field. And I recognized that freshman year, like as hard as I worked, I'm not going to play. I just don't, there is a level of talent for certain things, certain positions within an organization or a group that requires something that I just didn't have. Um, but it doesn't mean I can't find a way on the field to play meaningful snaps. These are all metaphors, but realistic for me. And so I identified the most thankless job on the field, which was long snapping. So for those that don't know, it's a person that hikes it between their legs on punts, field goals, extra points. You can do it perfect million times in a row and nobody cares. And you screw up once and your name's in the paper for all the wrong reasons. So like that's just a definition of a thankless job, right? And we do those in the military. We do those all the time. We may not even recognize that we're doing them because we're all kind of down to do that. That's kind of what we signed up for. But I had no issue with it if I had an opportunity to actually play. So I started the process of learning to long snap, and it took a long time. For the first couple of months of just learning, studying how do I grip the ball, how do I spin it, what are the drills, I did all this stuff on my own, by the way. I didn't want to this is not something to do in front of the team because it was like, I'm going to confuse people. I'm going to people are going to be like, what does this guy think? Who do you think he is? What is he trying to do? I'm like, I'm going to go on my time and work on this thing and then come back when I feel like that product is developed to a level that's at least semi-impressive, you know? And so I did that. I would go to the, practice facility on my own time or work on it at home, go to a park, try to figure this thing out, get the grip, the spiral, the stance, try to get accurate consistency, like do all these things. And eventually I got decent at it. So then I go and try to do this thing. So, the whole time I was in college too, I was still in the guard. I was still going to Afghanistan in the summertime. So I didn't really talk about that earlier, but I had a very different college experience. So I'd go to war for a month. No, excuse me, 3.5 months in the summer. From basically, I would take my finals in April, kind of before the end of the year, late April. Go to Afghanistan, get put on an ODA, and then come back right before training camp. I worked this all out with my guard unit, and obviously, I volunteered to do it, and they respected the fact that I was playing football and all that, and I was just very clear and with all my communication, this is what I'm doing, and the only reason I was still in the guard was that opportunity to continue to deploy. It's obviously not it's not. I didn't do it for the money. So I come back sophomore year from overseas. I go to training camp. I practiced snapping the whole time I was overseas too. And I got the backup job. First game of the year, the starter had a couple bad snaps. I got an opportunity the next game and then just did it for 3 years. And I was the starter for that whole time. And I'm not a big guy. I'm 5'10", maybe 5'11" on a good day. I weighed in college. I played at 185, 190. In the NFL, these guys are 6'3", 225 is kind of the average, maybe more than that, actually. 6'3", like 250.
Seriously.
The average long snapper. They're big people. And so I didn't really think that the NFL was a genuine possibility, but my I got invited to play in the senior all-star game, and I thought usually those things are just for fun in college. The all-star game is not like pro sports. It's not a big deal at all. Like nobody really watches it. Nobody really knows about it. But I go out there and there's a bunch of NFL scouts evaluating talent, and 4 different teams met with me and said, hey, you need to put some weight on, but you should go for it. Even though you're 34, you should just go for it. Because your position, you only play 12 to 15 snaps a game, and you're in good shape. Like, why not? And that's all I needed to hear. So I started working towards that and ended up getting signed with the Seahawks as an undrafted free agent in 2015, and made it through rookie mini camp and OTAs and training camp, and I got to play in one preseason game before getting released, but I got to play in a game. Which was incredible. I mean, I'm warming up next to Peyton Manning before the game. He was a starter for the Broncos, and I mean, my locker room was next to Marshawn Lynch. Like, it was a really cool experience. But yeah, so that was that. It was like the one game I played in. I led the team out of the tunnel with the flag, with the American flag, which is a very emotional thing for me. And yeah, and just to get that shot. I was the oldest guy on the team as a rookie, So I think you just have to I had to, and I think you have to put aside this idea that you're too old, or you're not built for this, or you didn't do this before in your life, or your degree's in X, so I can't do Y. Like, all those things, it's all BS. Like, it doesn't matter. What do you want to do? What are you interested in? What are you passionate about? And finding a way to implement that into your life, whether it's a job or not. Like, that's got to be part of your life. So all those things helped me transition. And now I've got a nonprofit called Merging Vets and Players, where we bring together combat vets and former pro athletes and help them transition when they leave the military. So yeah, definitely check out vetsandplayers.org for those of you that are interested in that stuff. We'll meet in the gym, work out for 45 minutes or so, and then huddle up after. And it's like peer-to-peer, open forum, just talking about our stuff. And now I'm in the storytelling space. It's been a long, tough process, like anything. But I'm making films, and I'm working on a D-Day 80th anniversary documentary right now. And the first movie I directed, I would encourage you guys to watch it if you can. It's called MVP, and it's about the organization, but it's scripted. And we had some pretty awesome actors and athletes in that movie. And I made it for next to nothing during COVID, but I had an idea. I wrote a script and had a lot of help and a lot of collaboration to get it there. And then we shot the movie for $200,000, which in movie money is nothing. But it got out there. We got the distribution. You can find it on Prime and Apple TV, and I think Tubi and some other places as well. So yeah,
That's a great story. I can't,
thanks.
and I know you got to go, but it's one of those things, like, I got to say it, like, it's inspiring, one, and two, for you to make it to the top there and then go, you know what, I just want to keep going. I got other plans. I got more plans. It speaks to who you are, and it speaks to what we should consider, right? Like, every veteran should be like, you know what? It's once you reach what you say your dream is, you don't stop. You can't stop there, right? Because you got more dreams. So, man, we appreciate your time, Nate, and golly, hopefully we see you soon on the Academy again here.
Yeah.
Thanks for your
I
time.
could just say, Dave, first of all, David, thank you for doing that. That was awesome. Nate, you are friggin' an amazing person, man. I think you've impacted a lot of people today, me included. And I just hope some of this can rub off on each and every one of you, because this was not about football, this talk. This was about, like Nate said at the end there, man, whatever the hell you want in life, man, go get it. Don't let anyone stop you. You guys all deserve this more than anyone. So, Nate, I appreciate you so much, and thank you again. We wish you all the best. We'll make sure everyone gets links to all the movies and everything to check them out.
For sure. Yeah, and thanks for being patient with me. I know we had to schedule a couple times before.
No worries, man. It was all these guys, so they were excited. It was well worth it. So appreciate
Great
you.
job. Great job, David. Good Q&A or whatever. I don't know what you call that, but you did a great job. But thanks again, Jordy, and thanks everybody. Yeah, and feel free to people to to reach out either on socials or LinkedIn or whatever if anybody has any follow-ups or ideas or anything like that, and keep it rolling. This is a really cool thing. It's a huge what you're building here. I was just flipping through the pages. You got 13 pages of people. So
Thank you, man. It's all these guys, man. They're kicking
awesome.
ass. So we appreciate you, man. Keep cranking.
You're doing the right things. If you guys are here, you're doing the right things. This is the way. This is the
There
way.
you go. Thanks, buddy. All right, guys. David.